Spent my whole life searching for a shelter for my soul, an understanding of the greater plan. In these walls I've seen the light of love pure and divine. Helps me remember who I really am. In every face it's clear, we're all God's children here. And it feels like home, it feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home, it feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home. It's a place to share your burden. It's safe to shed a tear. Say a prayer and raise your voice in song. Where every heart is honored and every path is true. No one's here to judge you right or wrong. And there's no shame, no sin in this place where love begins. And it feels like home, it feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home, it feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home.
Let's join our hearts together in a time of reflection. What we know is that this is a place where we can be ourselves. We can free ourselves into the light and into the love of who we really are. Here in this place, we allow ourselves to step inside, to move into our hearts, into relationships, into the love that's available here. A place we know is our true home. It's from this place that our sorrows are comforted, our hope is renewed, and our inspiration is ignited. Right here, right now. This is where we start. We revel in the love that's deep inside of our hearts, that's deep inside of this community. And so it is.
It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I could call my own. It feels like home. It feels like home. I finally found a place where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like home. A family that I can call my own. It feels like home.
And so it was. We reflect back together. We celebrate our successes. We feel the sting of our failures. We learn from our mistakes. Together, we persevere. And so it is. We join hands and minds. We work toward collective goals. We strive and we struggle to be better. Together, we persevere. And so it can be. We will create our own future. We will arrive at our hard-earned successes. We will make new mistakes and learn from them. We will continue to grow. Together, we will persevere. Join me. Let's you and I become we. Reflect with me. Work alongside with me. Suffer setback and failure with me. Learn from mistakes with me. I will stand by your side if you will stand by mine. Together, we can walk through the fire of any adversity. For together, we preserve, we persevere. Stand with me. Stand with me. Stand as we, for we can withstand whatever hand is dealt us. Together we have, and we will. Together we persevere. Yesterday, this day, and yet another day.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender.
Good morning, everybody. So you're going to hear more about the service fair in a little while, but I'm going to let you know that I will be up here immediately following the service today over at the Youth and Family Ministries table. And a huge shout out to, we've got Lewis and John, we've got Dino, we've got Terry and Terry, and we've got Kate over here. We have, as you know, a growing number of youth in our program, which means that we also have a need for more teachers and assistants and volunteers in our program. And so just to let you know, what we generally invite people to consider is to volunteer for once a month for a 6-month period of time, and that's usually in an assisting position. So a lead teacher would prepare the lesson plan, and we would invite you to be a second adult in the classroom to kind of back them up. So if that is something that you have, and you could choose whichever age group you wanted to work with. We've got all the ages. So again, I'll be up here right after the service. If you have any questions, please feel free to come in and check in with me. And I think Aiden's going to say a word about Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, there it is. I'm wearing contacts, so. In 1990, 22 youth groups raised $5,700. In last year's Super Bowl Sunday, I don't know how many because she didn't put it down. A lot, apparently, raised $10,164,006. So yeah.
So Super Bowl Sunday is coming up in 2 weeks. We'll invite you to bring in cans of soup. That is a nationwide effort. All those soup cans will be donated to the Linwood Food Bank that day. So thank you.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen. All that I am, all I've been given, to you, my God, I surrender.
We love our youth and we love our teachers. What a great group we have. Good morning and welcome to Unity in Linwood. I am so very glad that you are here today, because the alternative would be if you weren't here, I'd be talking to a bunch of empty chairs, and that just doesn't make much sense. You help me fulfill my purpose here, so thank you for that. And I'm glad that I am here today for you, because you'd just be looking up here to a see-through podium, kind of wondering and asking the person next to you, like, where's the guy? What do we do next? We can be here for each other. I have come here that you might have life and have it abundantly, and you have come here that I might have life and have it abundantly. We do that together, and I'm so glad for our Unity community. Today is Giver Circle Sunday, and with that, we have a program called Giver Circle, and it's a safe and easy, convenient, and flexible program that provides helpful data to your board of trustees. There's information on a flyer as you go out the door on the information rack to the left. And if you find consistent value, as I do in these services, that compels us in consistent giving, and this program will help you out with that. Another way we support each other at Unity in Linwood is with prayer, and we have a lot of ways that we do that. If you would like to access prayer support, you can fill out a prayer slip in the seat in front of you. Put your prayer request on that, put it in the offering basket as it goes by later in the service, and that will get lots of prayer attention. You can also call our confidential prayer line anytime during the week or leave a prayer request on our website. And if you'd like a time of personal prayer, you can come up to the front of our sanctuary at the end of the service and meet with one of our prayer chaplains. They would love to meet you in a time of personal prayer. In fact, I'd like to recognize them. The prayer chaplains who are here today, could you just stand up so we can see you and acknowledge your presence? Thank you for your service to us in our community. Charles Fillmore says this about prayer: great hearts send forth steadily the secret forces that incessantly draw great events. And wherever the mind goes, nature will accompany him, no matter what the path. One particular form of prayer that we practice at Unity, and I'm just going to say we practice it regularly, whether we know we're doing it or not. We're going to be affirming something, that quiet voice in our head that says something that either encourages us or discourages us or something in between. In this community, we try to become aware of that process, look at what we're affirming in our lives, and align that with the highest truth that compels us on the next step in our spiritual journey. Today's affirmation we'll share together. It is offered by our prayer ministry director, Barbara Thorpe, licensed Unity teacher. I'm going to go ahead and read that affirmation once. I'm going to ask us to soak it into our minds and our hearts, and then have us join together in speaking it. I am the channel through which God's substance flows. I am grateful and blessed as I continue the circle of giving and receiving. If you'd like to, you can stand. And together, I am the channel through which God's substance flows. I am grateful and blessed as I continue the circle of giving and receiving. And so it is. Let's take a few minutes to greet those around us, and we'll come back together for some music.
big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. All right. So sometimes you have to just pull out the classics. And this is one of my childhood favorite songs. I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet, to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Oh, don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart could understand, that love and only love can join the trials of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Oh, don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything. Keep believing in the power. Between your heart and mine. Between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Oh, don't you think it's time? Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Oh, don't you think it's time? Love and only love. Don't you think it's time? Love and only love. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was from the book of Winona, verses 1 and 2, with a divine chorus and a bridge also. The book of Winona. You see, that was a joke. You got it, okay. Thank you. I love that one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love happy birthdays and good mornings and happy New Year's because they remind us that in the spiritual realm we always stand at a point of new beginning. How about that? So my friends, happy birthday and good morning and happy New Year. Happy to be walking with you. Beginning in February, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., World Religions will be offered by the Reverend Nina Clark. Please consider registering in the back. It is written, bolster understanding, ignite curiosity, and heighten respect. Does that sound like a worthy path of study? She'll be joined by Rabbi Ted Falcon. Chocolate Cabaret coming up on Valentine's. Matthew and I, an evening of love songs and wine and chocolate. It is subtitled An Evening of Decadence. Tickets are $25. They're available in the spiritual gift shop. We would love to share that evening with all of you. The words are written by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. If you feel so inclined, please repeat after me. They read as follows: I am now. I am now in the presence of pure being. And immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and your power. O blessed Spirit, in your divine wisdom, now remove my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world, according to your perfect law. I'd like to share a story with you this morning, if you will indulge me. It's the first time I've ever done anything creative, so thank you for allowing me a little latitude from my standard liturgy. You know, if you do a Google search for stone soup, you'll find some 1,730,000 pages that include the term. It reveals a stone soup comic strip, a stone soup role-playing game, a stone soup theater company. You'll find a stone soup food and nutrition magazine. Don't you just wonder? I don't know. A community in Chicago, a set of lesson plans, an upscale bed and breakfast in Indianapolis, Indiana. I had never considered the possibility of an upscale bed and breakfast in Indianapolis, Indiana, but there we go. You'll find an architectural firm, a design company, a consultancy, a food pantry, a meetup group. A cafe, a circus, a beer, and the list goes on, and the list goes on. For today's purposes, however, stone soup is, of course, a folk tale, the roots of which are quite elusive. In Portuguese versions, for example, where some restaurants actually serve sopa de pedra, or stone soup, the traveler is often a monk. In French and Hungarian versions, the travelers are often soldiers. In Scandinavian and Northern European versions, the story is most commonly known as nail soup. And the main character is typically a transient looking for food and lodgings. In Eastern Europe, the story is called axe soup. I think stone soup is better. I mean, if I were to choose between the axe, the nail, and the stone, While the most notable breakthrough for stone soup was likely the popular retelling by Marcia Brown in 1947, most credit its origins to a French female journalist who first published it in 1720. Now, where she got the story is something we will likely never know. But she begins her tale, as so many good storytellers do, with an air of mystery. She begins, "I was told the other day. I was told the other day that a kindly old stranger was walking through the land when he came upon a village. And even as he meandered through the outskirts, the villagers scampered toward their homes, locking the doors and barring the windows. The kindly old stranger smiled and asked, 'Why are you so frightened? I'm a simple traveler looking for a soft place to stay for the night, a warm place for a meal.' Nothing I have is ample," came one gruff reply. "Even our children are weak and starving. Best it is that you move on about your way." To which he replied, "Oh, I brought everything necessary." And he drew back his flowing cloak with one hand and revealed a large cauldron in the other hand, brimming with water which had been drawn from the local river. "And I always make enough for everyone. If only I had a flint to get it started." Well, after a moment, maybe 2 moments, maybe 3 moments, the voice of an ill-natured Jezebel from nowhere in particular arose. Well, if that be all, you'll find plenty of flint in the yards. Well, hearing even the rumor of food, several of the villagers began to peer from their doorways, began to peek from their windows as the kindly old stranger tipped his tattered hat to no one in particular and continued to pick and pluck about the yards. After building the fire and placing the cauldron brimming with the water which he had drawn from the local river, the kindly old stranger drew a silken bag from his cloak. He held it high above his head, and with no small amount of ceremony, he inverted the bag, releasing a rather ordinary-looking stone into that cauldron with a rather notable clank, as even more villagers peered from their doorways, as even more villagers peeked from their windows, and even more yet as the kindly old stranger sniffed the broth and licked his lips in anticipation. The kindly old stranger's voice raised, I do enjoy a tasty stone soup." Of course, stone soup with cabbage. Now there's a soup fit for a king. And after a moment, maybe 2 moments, perhaps 3 moments, the village widower approached, sheepishly extending a small cabbage which he had retrieved from its hiding place, and he added it to the pot. "Wonderful," cried the stranger, and he continued to stir. Now, of course, stone soup with cabbage and a bit of beef. Now there's a soup fit for a king, he said. Well, after a moment, maybe 2 moments, perhaps it was 3 moments, the village butcher appeared with some salt beef which he had set aside. And of course, he added it to the pot. "Wonderful," cried the stranger, and he continued to stir. Now, of course, stone soup with cabbage and a bit of beef and a few carrots. That would be a soup fit for a king. And after a moment, maybe it was 2 moments, it could have been 3 moments, the village tanner scurried up, waving a bunch of carrots, which he had drawn from his cupboard, and he added them to the pot. Wonderful, yet again cried the stranger, and he continued to stir. Of course, stone soup with cabbage and beef and carrots and some spices, that would be a soup fit for a king. And of course, after a moment, perhaps it was 2 moments, it could have been 3 moments, the village ironsmith appeared. He waddled up with a bowl of pot spices, which he had gathered by that river, and he tossed them into the pot. Wonderful, yet again, cried this stranger. And he continued to stir, and so it went, and so it went, through potatoes, through onions, through mushrooms, through chives, celery, turnips. He stirred, and he stirred. The aroma spread from home to home, filling the nostrils, tickling the stomachs of young and old alike. And one by one, the doors were unlocked and the windows were unbarred as the crowd gathered around the undeniable magic. It was stone soup. And in the end, there was indeed a delicious meal, ample for everyone in the village to share. And the sun settled and the moon awoke among bellies full and spirits high, illumined by the glowing embers of the cook fire. The wealthy village elder approached the kindly stranger and whispered in his ear. But the kindly old stranger shook his head politely, refusing to sell that stone. And as he meandered from the village the next morning, the kindly old stranger came upon a group of village children. No longer weak, no longer starving, but playing happily near the road. The children cheered the kindly old stranger, and they laughed and danced, and they sang together until the kindly old stranger drew a silken bag from his cloak, and holding it above his head with no small amount of ceremony, he inverted that silken bag, releasing what was an ordinary-looking stone into the hands of the youngest child. And with that, the children all watched as he moved on his way, the words of the song continuing to ring in their ears. Stone soup. Thank you, Cameron. That was nice. I'm honored to play a role in a ministry. I'm honored to play a role in an evolving idea we call Unity in Linwood. And we, as an intentional spiritual community, share a few basic philosophies, the omnipresence of what we understand God to be to start. In other words, the presence of life, love, wisdom right here and right now. You see, ours isn't a God who is alive, who is wise, who is alive, but a God that is life, a God that is love, a God that is that wisdom itself. And because God is that life, that love, that wisdom from which all expression rises, you and the soul who sit to your right are deeply bound together. You and the soul who sits to your left are deeply bound together. I could say that you and the souls in this room, you and the souls beyond these walls, I could say that you and every other expression of this life, love, wisdom we call God are one. We are one. And because we are one, inextricably bound together in a web of divine existence, our decisions and our contributions are causal to a chain of events beyond our wildest imaginings. Yes, and yet again, undeniable support and unthinkable spite lurk in the shadows of every choice we make, lurk in the shadows of every dollar we spend. And because we are one, we are necessarily and undeniably equal. Yes, in this paradigm, there can be no conversation which fails to presume the equality of the man and the woman, the younger and the older, the light-skinned and the dark-skinned, the rich and the poor, the Western and the Eastern. Those few basic philosophies include one in which you are soul stuff having a human experience. How do you like that one? That the reality of you isn't finite flesh and bone, but infinite thought and limitless potential. As such, our mundane debates about gender, about orientation, about what parts you have and what you do with those parts are always secondary to conversations about matters of the heart, always secondary to conversations about matters of consciousness. I like to explain it this way. In a paradigm in which you meet anthropomorphic God at the end of your earthly sojourn, after you've detailed your diatribe of accomplishments and shown your many bank statements, I like to think that God will look at you and say, well, yeah, but how well did you love? And from all of this, we come to understand that God can have no favorites, that all religions are something of human creations, imperfect lenses through which humanity experiences and explores greater reality, imperfect lenses ripe for human use as vehicles of awakening or as weapons for destruction alike, and we have seen both, haven't we? So I'm honored to play a role in this evolving divine idea we call unity in Linwood. I think it offers some really cool stuff. And even so, with every act of cruelty and selfishness, see if you can relate to this, with every act of cruelty and selfishness, I find myself tempted to respond with some iteration of the villagers, well, nothing I have is ample. And on some level, I lock the doors. And with every act of malice and ignorance, I find myself tempted to respond with some iteration of the villagers, oh, nothing I have is ample. And on some level, I bar the windows. I might say that in the face of every deficiency in the very soul of humankind, in the face of those weak and starving children, I find myself tempted to respond as the villagers did with some iteration of, but what difference could I possibly make? And yet the kindly stranger's voice answers with its promise of divine possibility. The voice reaches through my locked doors, through my barred windows, offering words of encouragement. Please remember, I brought everything necessary. I brought everything necessary. And I always make enough for everyone. But will you bring your flint? Will you bring your cabbage? Will you bring your beef, your carrots, your parsnips? Will you bring that which is uniquely you by virtue of your presence as an expression of the one life which stands behind all life? Will you do that? Our tale brings me some comfort. It reminds each of us that no one villager has all the ingredients necessary for the soup. Is that a relief or what? that it's in the combined ingredients that we fashion that soup that's fit for a king. Isn't that a relief? You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be it all. Unity in Linwood is a place where we practice. And here to introduce the opportunity to practice is Reverend Nina Clark. She's in charge of all sacred service. Let's see, how would we say it? This is where we discover our carrots. It's where you unlock the power of your divine cabbage. Here to tell you about these tables around the room and how they afford you an opportunity to practice, would you welcome your associate minister? Her name is Reverend Nina Clark, please. Your divine cabbage. That's an introduction right there.
I know. I'm looking out and I'm seeing carrots and onions and green beans. Morning. Listening to Dr. Richards' talk this morning, it occurs to me that we are like that beautiful stone soup prepared by that village, as Dr. Richard has so eloquently pointed out. Unity in Linwood, to my mind, is both the cauldron, our community container, and the stone. And each of us, as we've been pointed out, are the ingredients: the cabbage, the bit of beef, the carrots, potato, green beans. Do I hear a parsnip? And together, spices, yes. Lots of spices in here. And together, each contributing what we can make an amazing community soup that allows everyone to be fed. Today is the launching of what we hope will be a new annual event, our Unity in Linwood Service Fair. Everyone was given a card on the way in. Do you have your cards? If anyone doesn't have a card, I'm sure an usher will be happy to give you a card. If you will take your card with you as you visit the 4 tables around the room, you will get a stamp on your card for every service team member that you talk to. There are 15 teams stationed around the room, and if you chat to a team member at each of the 15 team stations and get all 15 spots on your card stamped and fill out the back with your name and address, and then put that completed card in the basket back at the welcome station, you'll get a surprise in the mail. A nice surprise. I probably should clarify that. There are a few spots where there is no representative, but if you'll read the blurb on the sign-up sheet, the representative next to that empty spot will happily stamp your card. Sacred service is at the heart of a growing and thriving community. There are things that need doing here in your community, and I hope that each of you will consider what you have to offer the stone soup that is Unity in Linwood. As you visit the tables at the service fair, I hope that you will consider the ingredients that are missing from our soup, the volunteer jobs that need doing, and consider offering that ingredient. What we each offer does make a difference. Not one of us should be or can be the whole soup, but if we each give what we can, our community and beyond is fed and cared for. Thank you.
I look cabbagey. She knows I love her. Next week, we begin a program. It's called Season for Nonviolence. It's in its 20th year. It was developed by the Association for Global New Thought. Our particular program will be called 64 Ways in 64 Days. During this program, we will reach out and invite organizations who share this value of being decent to each other, to join us in different ways. The event will begin next Sunday with a lesson by our own Rabbi Ted Falcon. And as wisdom would have it, it will conclude on that 64th day with a spiritual Seder held right here in the sanctuary. It will be limited to the first 100 people, and members of the Jewish community and the Unity community will get together and create the ritual foods specific to a Seder. Does that sound like a beautiful way to wrap up a program about being good together? Isn't that beautiful? So you have that to look forward to. Let's close with a time of reflection, a time of meditation. Let us contemplate our carrot and cabbage nature together, shall we? Let's take a deep breath. Let's close our outer eyes to that world of appearance and limitation, and let's turn to that expansive inner realm that knows no such limitation, and let's take a deep breath. Let's discover each other in that realm beyond words. Let's open our hearts to all others who stand at the periphery. If you're willing to do so, allow my voice to become your own. As I consider an idea, that is that I am a unique expression of an infinite potentiality. To entertain the possibility, as I am, if I am willing to entertain the possibility that there is a wisdom at work, then I'm not here by mistake. I'm here with purpose. My beingness in this world of form has purpose. Being willing to entertain even further that a question seriously posed has great power. I allow the question to rise. What is mine to contribute today? What do I stand for? What do I represent? who would I be? At Linwood, sure, but in life, what would a purpose-driven soul contribute today? And as these longings of the heart, as these images present themselves upon the screens of our minds, I like to imagine that counter to that editor self that would assess and weigh and judge, I like to think that counter to that editor self, there stands that kindly gentleman from today's tale. Tipping his hat. And I like to think that he offers his reassurance by saying, you know what? I can use that. I can use that. And so it is.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. And thank you, Nina. Wonderful reminder of all the various ways that we can contribute to this delicious soup that we all partake of here at Unity in Linwood. One of the ways that we contribute as well is through financial giving. And as we prepare our tithes and love offerings this morning, I'll offer you some words from Unity's co-founder, Charles Fillmore, about giving. If we have freely received, we must also freely give and keep the substance going, confident in our understanding that our supply is unlimited and that it is always right at hand. Thank you for your gifts.
So triumphant.
And as our ushers make their way to the front, I want to have us all join together in blessing our gifts today. Thank you, God, that your spirit that unites all of us in community blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, ushers. We love to have people who are visiting us for the first time to come and enjoy the aroma of this tasty soup that we have here at Unity in Linwood. And we like to just recognize you with a round of applause. If you are new, could we just say hello to anyone who might want to be recognized? Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're so glad you're here. In the seat back in front of you, there are some cards. One of them is a newcomer's information card, and a stay in touch card as well is there. And on the stay in touch card, you can leave your contact information if you'd like to stay current on things happening here at Unity in Linwood. There's just a couple emails that go out each month that keep you current on things happening. And also in the information rack just to the left of the door as you leave the sanctuary, there is a DVD. And also in this DVD packet, there is a card that tells you about our mission here at Unity in Linwood and also the principles that support that. One of those principles is we welcome people from all spiritual traditions or from no spiritual tradition whatsoever into every activity in our community. We're so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us. We have several announcements today. Mark your schedules for next Sunday, January 27th. Spiritual Sundays with Rabbi Ted Falcon at 11 a.m., followed by an inclusive, Spiritual Saturdays. We are a good community, aren't we? Thank you. Throw in the carrots. I'm catching them. Put them in the soup. Good. Spiritual Saturdays with Rabbi Ted Falcon at 11 a.m., followed by an inclusive Eucharist by Father Dan Duval at 2 p.m. Also plan to join Rabbi Ted on Saturday, February 10th at 10 a.m. for his class entitled Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. Thank you, Rabbi Ted. UIL's small group ministry presents Search for God, a study group starting Monday, January 29th to discuss and apply spiritual principles as taught by Edgar Casey. Using meditation, affirmation, and discussion, take your spiritual practice to the next level with Dr. Jennifer Lovejoy and Fran and Tom Curley. Books are available at 20% off in our gift shop. Thank you. All actors, singers, dancers, jugglers, poets, and pogo stick masters, you know who you are. Please see Director Cheryl Jones for details specific to our second annual talent show, UIL on Stage. Rehearsals begin on Saturday, February 3rd. And two events will support our Linwood Food Bank. Our Youth and Family Ministries is hosting Super Bowl Sunday, we heard about earlier in the service from our youth, on February 4th. Please bring cans of food on that Sunday, and UIL's local humanitarian outreach ministry will accept disposable diapers during the first 3 weeks of February. If you prefer to give funds, please note Super Bowl or local humanitarian in the memo section of your check. Thank you for your gifts for those. UIL's Health and Wellness Ministry is offering a workshop on Sunday, February 11th at 1 p.m. on tapping for health and wellness. Learn an easy, highly researched and validated technique for reducing stress and supporting health and wellness. Tapping refers to an energy psychology called Emotion Freedom Technique. Please register. And, of course, all good things happening at Unity in Linwood can be found on our printed program by visiting our Facebook page or the calendar page of our website at unityinlinwood.org.
I'm excited to announce that next Sunday at 1 p.m. we'll be offering an afternoon concert. So what I'm excited about with the music program here is that not only do we bring people of high caliber and quality, I'm trying to bring people who it really is their ministry, it's heart-centered, and these people represent that. So Aaron English, Elizabeth Hereza, and Carolyn Crusoe on Hammer Dulcimer will be here at 1 p.m. It's offered on a love offering basis, and here's a little sample.
Peace.
I happen to know what happens to the second bird and the third bird. It is worth returning for. I'm here to tell you, these profound artists, I love being with you, and I cherish you deeply. I want you to know that. How honored I am to walk this walk of exploration and discovery with each of you. I want you to know that. Do you know that? Please know that. Let's take a deep breath together. If there's a first name of any soul you would like to introduce into this powerful, palpable consciousness of support, please speak that name now. And if you're in Facebook land, speak that name as well. We stand with you. So on behalf of all those named, whether with the human tongue or the human heart, yet again it matters not, on behalf of all who have turned something of a spiritual ear toward this conversation, it's with great faith and great boldness that we lift our voices together and speak these closing words. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is.
The light of God surrounds us. The power of God protects. The presence of God watches over us, and all is well. The love of God enfolds us. Wherever we are, God is. We are safe, we are cherished, and all is well. All is well.
Close our time as we always do, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is.